All right, jumping over and talking about the wide receivers on waivers this week. Obviously, this is going to be a huge week for wide receivers. So if you are in need of wide receiver help, this is the week to start blowing your cash. I know we typically try to avoid spending fab dollars on receivers, but it's hard to imagine at this point that there's going to be this breakout running back that no one expected to be there. I'd rather just continue to stash guys like we talked about in our running back video, grab guys like Devontae Booker, grab guys like Jamal Williams that would become the next big thing on the waiver wire should Aaron Jones or Josh Jacobs go down, rather than wait for it to happen. So you should already be rostering some of these guys, spending your bench spots at this point in the season. Those are the lottery ticket plays, and I'd rather try to lock down some of these big guys at receiver now. If you still have fab dollars to spend and you're hurting at receiver, there's a lot of big names out there. Obviously, the number one guy, Chase Claypool. I gotta admit, guys, I feel like this is a trap, and I'm doing it anyway. Like, it's like in the movies when you see everything around you, it's like, if you step on this pressure plate, there's gonna be a net that grabs your foot and sends you into the tree, and you're gonna be stuck in the net. You're gonna have to find a way to claw yourself out. But I'm trying not to chase the touchdowns, but I am enamored by the talent that is Chase Claypool. Athletic monster, 7 of 11, 110 yards, and 4 touchdowns on the day, including 1 on the ground. Like I said, it could be a total trap, but this really reminds me of A.J. Brown last year. You have to expect there's going to be some down games, especially if Deontay Johnson does turn around and play this week. Chase Claypool obviously saw a huge snap share change after Deontay Johnson went out. But Chase Claypool, I think, has earned his right to be the wide receiver 3 there. James Washington is nothing special at this point. And we know that Juju Smith-Schuster has dealt with injuries pretty much every season of his career. Deontay Johnson has already missed time now due to a concussion and a back injury. So just the law of the conservation of targets, if either of those guys misses significant time between Juju and Deontay, Chase Claypool is going to be a league winner. Like I said, this really feels a lot like A.J. Brown last year, and I'd rather just pay up and feel stupid in a week and then just keep him on my bench until he's useful again, rather than let someone else get him and let him turn into the next A.J. Brown. If Chase Claypool isn't out there, or if you want to have a pivot play, I don't think people are paying enough attention to what Travis Fulgham is doing. So he went 10 of 13 for 152 yards and a touchdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, who are very strong against receivers. Darius Slayton had a good game against them in week 1, I admit that, but for the most part, they've been a strong defense all around. Travis Fulgham playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, who are in desperate need of pass catchers. Zach Ertz looks completely washed at this point. Jalen Reagor is going to be out for a few more weeks. Deshaun Jackson looks like he's washed, and the last time we saw Alshon Jeffrey, he looked like complete dust as well. So Travis Fulgham could end up being the wide receiver 1 on this team for a few more weeks. And even when Reagor comes back, I don't know that they just completely throw him back on the bench just because they have their rookie out there. They could use both of these guys. Travis Fulgham is playing on the outside, doing double moves, things that you would expect an alpha receiver to do, and people just don't know who he is because we didn't expect him to do anything coming in. This is the kind of guy, if you can sneak onto your roster while everyone else is paying attention to Claypool, everyone else is paying attention to all these big names, and nobody wants to believe a guy named Travis Fulgham because they didn't know what his name was prior to the season. This is the kind of thing that wins fantasy championships. Right now he's running at a 25.8% target share there in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is 4th in pass plays per game. They're number 3. Travis is number 3 in production premium and the dominator rating. And right now, believe it or not, even though Carson Wentz looks like complete garbage, his quarterback rating when targeting Travis Fulgham is 156.2. Absolutely insane. Travis Fulgham has been insanely efficient, and you could make the argument that he's the better pickup than Chase Claypool this week. Maybe I'm just being enamored by the touchdowns, but man, you have to get one of these guys. If they're on your waiver wire, do not leave this week without at least getting one of them, because both of them could actually be league changing going forward. I don't believe that this was just a random week. Could be wrong. Travis Fulgham had a good week in week 3. Chase Claypool a good week in week 2. So we've seen them do it for 2 games now. I'm not sure that if I had to guess, Chase Claypool will be more of the boom bust guy, whereas Travis Fulgham will end up being more consistent. But he's just straight up outplaying everyone else on that team right now. And by my goodness, do the Eagles need playmakers right now. So Travis Fulgham, definitely a priority for you this week. both of those guys are gone, or they just end up getting overspent on. Here's some of the other names I'm looking at. Laviska Shenault, if he's out there, went 7 for 8, 79 yards. Decent day. DJ Chark is dealing with an ankle injury. Same ankle that he's re-injured now. That I believe this is the 5th time that he's shown up on the injury report with the same ankle. So he could miss some significant time with that injury. Laviska Shenault and Kaelin Cole. Didn't put Kaelin Cole here, but another name to potentially look at. But Shenault has been growing more and more into the passing game. They're using him less as a gadget player, and he's becoming more of that Z receiver. And if Chark is out, I think Laviska Shenault could see a pretty significant role change here. Chark is obviously a big shoes to fill, but I think Shenault could have a pretty big game, especially this week against the Detroit Lions. Looking at Miko Hardman, he always sees an uptick in his snaps whenever Sammy Watkins gets hurt. He had already relegated Demarcus Robinson and had started to see more offensive snaps after the first couple weeks of the season. He didn't do too much on Sunday, but after Sammy Watkins went down, I think that should be an indicator here that Mecole Hardman is going to see more touches going forward. Looks like Watkins could miss multiple weeks, so if Hardman is out there, definitely worth a good waiver pickup this week. Henry Ruggs, if he's still out there as well, he went only 3 targets on Sunday, but 2 catches for 118 yards and 1 touchdown, doing his best Tyreek Hill impersonation. Carr is looking very comfortable right now and is actually playing lights out. I don't know that Henry Ruggs will be able to maintain consistent fantasy play. He might just end up being an annoying fantasy receiver for the remainder of this year, but showing that upside definitely shows he should be rostered, and if he's able to maintain consistent touches and demand consistent targets, Henry Ruggs could end up being a steal this week while everyone's paying attention everywhere else. Preston Williams finally came back to life, 4 for 5, 106 yards and a touchdown against the 49ers on Sunday. This could just be a mirage, but we did expect Preston Williams to come out a little bit slow. Obviously, he injured that ACL about halfway through the season last year. Typically takes a guy to get a little bit, get going a little bit. Obviously, with the preseason, didn't really have a chance to start to knock off that rust. So coming a few weeks into week 5, we see Preston Williams finally have his breakout game. If he's still out there on the waivers, he's definitely worth rostering. And then, of course, Mike Williams went 5 for 8, 109 yards and 2 touchdowns last night. Obviously, that was in the wake of Keenan Allen getting hurt. Doesn't look like Allen's injury is going to be severe for a long term. And obviously, the Chargers are on bye this week. So if you need a pickup and play for week 6, Mike Williams is not your guy. But you might be able to sneak him for a lot less fab because of that fact this week, because you don't want to pick up a guy and then have to have him sit on your bench until you can use him. So if you're good at receiver and you're just trying to get a cheaper option, if Mike Williams is out there, should definitely be rostered going forward. All right, if you are saying, like, listen, dude, every single one of these guys is already rostered, or I don't have any fab left, I had to blow it all on Mike Davis a few weeks ago, and I still need a receiver. If you're in desperate situations, some deeper options that nobody's paying any attention to. Jeff Smith for the New York Jets. It's gross. It's the Jets. I get it. In week 3, week 4 against the Broncos, he went 7 for 9 targets, 81 yards. And then week 4, he had 11 targets, only caught 3 balls for 23 yards. But this team, I know it's junk. The Jets are terrible. Eventually, Adam Gase is going to get fired. I still believe that Sam Darnold is at least an adequate quarterback. And with the amount of targets that Jeff Smith is getting, with the amount of other injuries around them, Chris Hogan just went down with a high ankle sprain. Jamison Crowder is obviously the main receiver there for them, but Jeff Smith has been doing really well. And if you need a gross option, but it's a deeper league, and you're just trying to go chase the targets, I think Jeff Smith is a decent option there. Then Tyler Johnson, I don't trust him at all because I don't trust really anyone on Tampa Bay other than Mike Evans and Chris Godwin when he comes back after what Scotty Miller has been doing to us, just teasing us with great games and then giving us goose eggs. I could see that Tyler Johnson could do the same thing, but he looked like a man out there, man. Like, he was balling out on Thursday night. Only caught 4 balls on 6 targets for 61 yards, but for his debut, it looked pretty impressive. So Tyler Johnson, a name to be on the lookout for if you're in need of a wide receiver and don't want to spend a lot of fab this week. Probably can get him for absolutely nothing.